So let's now use our custom struct here and create a value based on it. And you can do that by creating a new variable, which you could name app user, for example. And the type of that variable should be user. So my own user struct type here. That's how we create a variable of our own custom struct type. And of course, we can now assign a value to app user. And the value should now be a new instance of that struct type. So here we define the blueprint, so to say. Now we have to create a value based on that blueprint. And that blueprint-based value is often called an instance of a struct. And you create such an instance by using your struct name, user in my case, and then by adding curly braces directly after it without a blank. You can add one, but you typically don't. And now you put your values that should go into this struct, so that should be assigned to these fields here, between those curly braces. So for example, if we want to store this first name variable under this first name field in the struct, we would add first name here. And we're getting auto-completion by the IDE, which understands which fields can be added to that struct. So here it's first name. Then you add a colon. That separates the field name from the value for the field. And here you could also hard code a value, but in this case, I'll use this first name variable. And since this can be confusing to have first name here and here, even though it's not a problem, I'll actually rename this here to user first name, user last name, and user birth date. So that it's very clear which side is the value, this one here, and which side refers to the field in the struct. Then you add a comma, and then in the next line you can assign the next field to a value. So here last name should use user last name. And then the birth date field in the struct should be set to user birth date. Well, and now we can also set created at, and we can set this to a value created by a function from this time package, and that would be this now function. And then you have to add a never comma here, even if that is the last field you're setting. Now this now function from the time package then returns a value of time, which is a struct, just a struct defined by that package. So instead of defining a struct like this, we can also create one by calling a function that produces a struct. And we'll later in this section also add our own custom function that produces a struct. For the moment, we'll just create it like this by instantiating based on this blueprint, this user struct blueprint, like this.